There we go. Okay. All right. So today what we're going to talk about is the basics of hoof structure. And we did that last week, but I missed recording it. But I also have some different examples to use this week that I think will help people understand better. As well, I want to go back to a couple of videos that were done by our member from Argentina, Milena Minotti, wonderful, talented gal. And because she really shows the hoof structure in there. And so instead of just looking at these videos like, well, yeah, that's a nice video, that's cool, whatever, we really need to realize that we need to totally understand proper hoof capsule conformation. And we need to be able to put our feet in paint or in some sort of a markup program so that we can look at them and then determine where those horn tubules are, where they start at the hairline, where they're ending at the ground. Are they in alignment? Like, for instance, are the horn tubules in the quarters as long or longer than the horn tubules in the center of the dorsal wall? See, this happens a lot when the heels are trimmed out. And so they just gradually get pushed and grow way forward to where they're supposed to be. And then you wind up with these blank spot, I call it a blank spot, flare, separation, whatever, in the quarter. Because the wall is not growing down from the hairline and connecting in the quarter where it's supposed to. It's disconnected and shoved forward. Therefore, it's not connecting with the sole where it's supposed to, because see, the wall grows down, connects with the sole, supports the sole, and keeps the sole at a specific angle, and then they grow down to the ground together, where the sole, after about 3/4 to an inch of growth, will die and fall off. The wall keeps growing, but the sole dies and exfoliates unless it gets retained and all hardened up, and that's a whole other deal. But anyway, so I want to show these two videos that were made by Milena because I want you to keep them in mind. And so everybody that's here this week, I'm gonna make a list. Okay, you're gonna have some homework to do. And if you need help, I'm glad to help you. What I want you to do, I just want you to take a picture of one foot. We're going to do a front view and a side view, but specifically a side view. And I want you to evaluate one foot on your horse and do a markup on it in relation to or using this video that we're going to show of what proper hoof structure, hoof capsule structure is, and where the horn tubules are supposed to start and where they're supposed to end. And I want you to evaluate a foot on your horse in relationship to this. Okay, so I'm gonna show the video here. Just a second here. Okay, does everybody see that? Should have a TAC team logo thing on it. Anybody there?
Yes, we see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so most everybody's seen this, but we're going to look at it a little bit differently. We're going to look at it in terms of, hey, we really have to get this hoof structure down so that when I take pictures of my horse's feet, the first thing I'm going to look at is where are the horn tubules and what are they doing? See, because that has a lot to do with everything to do with what's going on with your foot. And ultimately, we want those horn tubules to grow down and then connect at this piece of sole where they're meant to connect to for the life of the horse, to be able to support that sole, because then your hoof capsule will be in alignment with the inner foot. It will be in weight bearing equilibrium, and it will be growing the sole correctly under the foot. And that's, you know, that and perfectly released big cartilages like they're supposed to have, no foot binding, is what we're trying to accomplish. That's your rock cruncher, you might say. Okay, just a minute now. I don't know if this, just a minute here. Let me see. Share sound. I'm just going to start this out a little bit. I want you to tell me, somebody needs to tell me if you can hear the sound, because it used to be that I had to take my mic and bend my headphones and put the mic at the earphone for you to be able to hear the computer. So I don't know if Zoom now, if you can hear what's on the computer or what. Okay, so I'm just going to experiment, and I'll rewind and start this again from the beginning. We're going to watch it, and we're going to discuss it and go through it again. And I'll stop it at certain places and we'll discuss some things. And okay, so hold on here. Okay, so somebody let me know if you can hear it. Just a minute.
Yep, can hear it.
Great. Of course, she doesn't really say anything, mostly reading. Or no, she does talk in it. That's right.
Hooves. They seem to come in very different shapes. Or that is what you have been made to believe. The truth is, each horse has the same bones, tendons, and cartilages inside. So why are the capsule shapes so different? It's because humans have been taking care of them. For centuries, the hoof capsule was seen as the foot of the horse, without any understanding of the internal structures. It was modified by trimmers and farriers into various shapes following trends, fashion, or misconceived notions that the hoof is made of different parts disconnected to each other. But the capsule must reflect that inner structure because it is a unit. And every external part must match what it is internal for. This is how it realizes its full functionality. That is what TACT, which stands for the anatomical correct trim, is all about, which is letting the capsule grow from the inner foot just as it is meant to. But in order to achieve that, we must first understand the anatomy of the hoof. This is a perfect hoof. The shape of the capsule is according.
Okay, I'm going to make a comment here that in reality, what I have here, we had to composite. This is actually not a perfect hoof, because later we found out that this foot was actually bound and we didn't know it. So the cartilage here would have been a lot bigger, clear out to here. So I want you to know that when you're looking at that, but at this. Okay, now maybe someday we'll actually get a truly perfect foot in this video, you know, but for right now, I just want you to know that the cartilage here is actually much bigger. The capsule should have been bigger. Okay. Okay, we'll look at some better feet where the cartilages have been released more a little later.
to the internal structures. All the horn tubules are parallel from the dorsal wall to the heels. The hairline is a straight line, and all the growth rings growing from the coronary band are also straight lines.
Now see, this is definitely something you have to look at on your horse. And so this is something interesting too, even though now we know that this was not the perfect foot. Okay, this foot would probably line up like the post I did earlier today about how they use the bony column alignment to determine how to trim. I don't know if who saw that maybe on the group photo and stuff, like on the group page and stuff. But this is a foot. This can show you how you can be deceived by a foot as far as what it was like right here. But look, this is all correct here. The alignment of the growth rings or growth lines, okay, and the alignment of the horn tubules that are going to go down like that. All right. You could even have 2 inches from here to here, but this foot still wasn't right. That's why you have to learn the counterfeits too. Okay, but now the basic hoof structure is what I'm wanting you to look at. Hoof capsule structure, let's put it that way. Let's start that again. And this is correct. So you should be able to look at your foot and see that.
There are 2/3 before and 1/3 of the foot behind the bones line, and most of the part is occupied by the heels.
Okay, so here's your whole foot right here. The whole foot of the horse. The cartilage is up here. That's the whole foot. That's why we have to look above the hairline to determine what is going on with the foot. Now this is kind of flat right here, but in reality, this would be flatter and longer. This would not be like that right there. Again, this foot was somewhat still bound up.
Let's remove the dermis tissue, the corim.
Okay, now your coffin bone does set at an angle in the whole foot because the cartilage of the sole corium under here is thicker as it goes towards the heel. Now, if you force this coffin bone to be ground parallel, see, you'll find that in some schools of thought they'll talk about a ground parallel coffin bone. Well, that just means that instead of this bone here being at an angle, it sets flat like this. Well, to make it flat like that, do you see how you would have to cut heel out right here? And what does that do? Sets the horse back like this, and he starts to crush this cartilage here and flatten it out. Another thing you can see by this is how if this cartilage right here is bound up and pushed into the foot like this, that it will push this coffin bone up like that. And which will, because there's a joint right here that it's on, then the bone will rotate. It'll push this up, and the dorsal wall of the coffin bone will rotate down this way. Now, here's your capsule, part of your capsule that you see on it. You got to keep remembering that this comes off in one piece and that this is a whole unit. It's a foot inside there. And the only solid part of that foot is this bone right here. Everything else is cartilage, just like in your nose, or fat, like, I don't know, it's in your rear end or your boob or your belly, either one, you know, because it's fat. That's what the digital cushion mostly is fat. When I soak feet for any length of time, I will see big yellow globs of liquid oil that comes out of the digital cushion rise to the top of the water. And one time I was experimenting in trying to preserve feet and dry them out. So I thought, well, I'll put the oven on low and I'll just slow dry it out for, you know, a bunch of hours or something like that. Well, I was outside all day. I came in the house and man, there was this strange sweetish smell. And I looked in the oven and there was like a quarter of a cup of oil in the pan. I had set that foot on a cookie sheet. And so I took it out and I poured the oil that came out of that foot out of the digital cushion into a measuring cup, and it was about a fourth of a cup, and it was liquid golden oil. Now, this is the same thing that they killed whales for, to get whale oil to burn lamps. See, that would be a high quality oil. Say whale oil, if you study anything about, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing the word right, maybe somebody could tell me, adipose tissue, which is a type of fat. Okay, that's what whale blubber is. And so when I studied up on whale blubber, because I noticed that when I would dissect these feet, you know, inside here, this big, huge chunk of fat. And so I thought, well, fat, whale blubber, whatever, you know. So I studied that and come to find out there are different grades of whale oil that they get out of whale blubber. Well, now here's something to think about. How do horses' feet stay warm? You know, that fat is what tends to keep the horse's foot from freezing and all that kind of stuff. Not only that, that fat in that digital cushion that's inside this foot, that fat also has hormones in it. And so those hormones send messages to the body. And so, you know, we've theorized that when you're trimming the heels out and it's crushing that foot, that transfers into that digital cushion, that the horse is starving. And why is the horse starving? Because he has to travel really far to find any food. And so he would wear his feet out, which would crush that digital cushion, which would make those hormones, I'm just theorizing here, send messages to the brain that you're in starvation mode. You better start holding on to your fat. See what I mean? Like metabolic issues, how the foot could be sending the wrong messages because you're trimming the heels out, sending the wrong messages through the hormones in the digital cushion into the rest of the horse. And there you go. You got, what is it? Equine metabolic syndrome, you know, and all this other stuff that happens. So Cushing's, things like that. Maybe there's more going on with these feet than we could ever realize, you see. So anyway, those are just some facts about what's on the inside of this foot here. And so because this bone here is the only solid part, you can compress this whole foot up into, you can reduce it in its size by up to a third. All this right here can be compressed. Well, you think about it. This all here can be pressed and can pushed up there. This pushes this part of the coffin bone up that way, which pulls this part back like that, and you're just folding that foot together. Okay, so we're going to keep going here.
Now let's go deeper into the very center of the foot.
Okay, so there's your digital cushion that I told you is mostly fat. There is some fiber in it, but it is mostly just fat. Now, somebody posted some pictures of a dissection of a sagittal. This is called a sagittal, if I even pronounce the words right. Sagittal section, a center cut, whatever you want to call it. Okay, on, I believe it was the equine hoof class page, because we've got the two pages, the mentor page and the equine. It doesn't matter which one you're on, they're both the same. Anyway, somebody has done a dissection and posted a deal like that. And somebody said that it looked like it had a thin sole, but it not only looked like it had a thin sole. If you notice now, when you're looking at these dissections, this is what you want to pay attention to. How much frog? What do you see in, this would be up between the bulbs where the frog stay is supposed to grow. Up between right here. And how thick is the frog? And you can see on this foot that it has a lot of sole here. So this horse here would have had correct heels to be able to have that much frog stay up between the bulbs and that thick of frog and that much sole. This hoof capsule would have been in alignment. Now, this is Frankenhoof, by the way. Okay, we took a bunch of different things and put them together to form all this. It wasn't just like the initial hoof was my mare, whose foot was still bound, but I didn't realize it at the time. And then Milena, and you know, I helped her. I gave her some different photos and stuff and said, well, use this and this. So this is really Frankenhoof. This is not any one specific horse's foot. This is what we composited together to show what a correct foot basically should be. Okay. Say like on this is actually the same foot, okay? But a front foot is not round, not round. It is more oval, but a rear foot is shaped more spade shaped like this. So that's another thing you want to look at. What is the shape of my foot? Say why, and why is that? Because the inner foot is that shape. See, and we want the hoof capsule to follow the shape of the inner foot. And one of the trickiest things you're going to find is correctly trimming these pillars to try and get them to conform to the shape of the horse's foot. Okay, and again, we're not just trimming it into that. I mean, we kind of trim it into that so that the hoof capsule will kind of start following and going in that direction, but we are growing it into a correct capsule. Okay.
Oval, not round. Spade shaped, not oval. coffin bone covers approximately the half of the foot.
Okay, it kind of covers half. Really, when you consider that you have a bunch of that a lot of the foot is above the hairline, I would say that the coffin bone composes maybe a little over 1/3 of the foot, and the rest of the foot is all cartilage and fat and coriums, the skin that covers the foot.
But what about the other half?
Okay, now the thing you want to remember here is this is all skin. That's all it is. It says corium, lamina, whatever it is, it's what it really is different types of skin. But this skin grows its own shoe. That's why when you finally drain all the blood and everything out of it, it's the color of skin. It's the color of skin.
Just below the corium, we find more digital cushion that extends beyond the frog area. The lateral cartilages are attached to the coffin bone at the palmar processes, and they also fuse with the digital cushion, giving protection to the tendons.
And this is all in here with the tendons and then the digital cushion and then the frog. This is like the suspension system of the horse. The horse, you know, when they talk about weight bearing, there's so much suspension going on here with all the joints and the cartilages and the ligaments and then the fat in the digital cushion and the frog. There's so much buoyancy that as far as really constant heavy duty weight bearing on the foot, it's dissipated. It's really dissipated by this whole suspension system in the horse's leg. So that's another reason why all this, having it correct, is so vitally important, you know, because that you think about the hard pounding the joints on these horses take. Well, this is what preserves that, this whole suspension buoyancy. It's like when horses have really good feet, what you're going to see is it looks like they're floating. They have this wonderful spring to their step, you know, and that's what protects all those joints, and that's what gives them their best movement, is that having the correct digital cushion and the correct frog. See, and of course then everything else lined up so that all this works correctly.
A healthy hoof has a well-developed frog stay. It is one of the most important parts of the shock absorption system. Yet, it's
okay. See there, you know, a little while earlier when we were looking at the sagittal view of the inside, and I said, well, there you see the frog stay that grows between the bulbs, and you saw how high it went up here. And if we were to go to the group page and look at that dissection that somebody shared, you'd see that it doesn't have that frog that's growing clear up here between the bulbs, separating the bulbs. Now up here is your digital cushion. It goes all the way into here, because these cartilages are thin. So this is attached to the side of these cartilages in there. And so I've got some videos showing this too, where how when the pastern here descends down, it hits the fat of that digital cushion. And that fat doesn't want to be pushed down. So it's compressing and it's pushing up the whole time that this pastern is descending onto the digital cushion, which then presses down onto the frog here and the frog stay. Okay, and it opens up these collateral cartilages here. The whole time this is pushing down, all this is under tremendous pressure, pushing it back up. And that is what really gives that buoyancy and that spring and that lightness to the horse's step. Okay, and so when you trim these heels out, it pulls all this down under the foot. And a lot of times this part right here between the bulbs that this frog stay is grown in, it can pull it all the way down and under the foot. And people will think, well, that's a central sulcus, when in reality, it is actually this part of the foot pulled down underneath the foot. Okay.
It's very underrated.
See now, when you have no frog and when you have trimmed the heels out, and what it does is it literally pulls the frog stay and strips it out from between this and pulls all this down under. Well, that gives a lot of room once you get rid of that to start compressing this foot into the smaller capsule that's developing from over trimming the heels. Because see, there's no frog in there anymore, so that could just be shoved together and shoved under. The frog stay stabilizes. So that's why it's called a frog stay, because back then people knew building principles. That's why they call the heel buttress a heel buttress, because if you study anything about how they built cathedrals and all these big, you know, giant edifices, these people knew about building. And so when they would study this stuff and develop names for things, they understood the concept of basically what it was for. So it's called the frog stay because it stabilizes the whole back of the foot. It stabilizes the bulbs. Let's see. Okay, there now, you see how that big piece of, I think it's pretty neat. She put it in gold because that's what came out of that was golden oil, just like cooking oil.
The bulbs are not in contact with the ground when the horse is standing, and the hairline is horizontal.
Okay, now there's another one about hoof distortion that she did that I'd like to show you. Let's see, we'll go to her. Understanding hoof distortion. Okay, so now we're gonna watch this one. I don't know if she talked in this one or not. This is a theoretic perfect hoof. It was made using photo manipulation programs to achieve a capsule that fits. anatomically correct to the inner foot. Let's see how it is inside. No, it doesn't have film wrap. She says just ignore that. See, we had Frankenfoot here. Okay, so this is the dorsal wall. Now you got to remember that this part comes off. Okay, the whole hoof capsule comes off in one piece. The hoof capsule that you have there today will not be there next year. It is temporary. But what you have on the inside, this horse's foot, it's permanent. It's just like you and your shoes. So again, you know, this is the two pieces together, but the true foot of the horse is what you see inside here. Okay, so here's your inside view. Again, this all is grown from the inside of the foot. This is the inside. Here's your digital cushion, your coffin bone. Here she's going to show what happens when the heels are trimmed too low and how it will lead to distortion. Now think about this. This is the true foot of the horse right here. So this is how your horse stands. And so this hoof capsule is supposed to grow to support this foot. So that means you want uniform sole thickness from here back to here. And you want support for the back of the foot. You want the horse to be able to stand on his foot the way it was meant to stand. And so the conformation or condition shape of the hoof capsule has a lot to do, has everything to do with whether it's going to support this foot correctly. Because again, it's supposed to grow form fitted to the foot. But when you start incorrectly trimming the heels, what it does is, well, okay, what is it going to do to you if I take the heels off your boots? Okay, you don't take the sole off, you just take the heels off. Then your toe is going to be higher than your heel, right? You see how that's going to get you all out of alignment? Okay, so she's going to show here, give an example of this. Now, kind of what she's trying to show in here with these arrows is what I've been talking about weight-bearing equilibrium. The hoof capsule has to be lined up in a specific way with the inner foot. The horn tubules that start up here, grow down, connect to the lamina here, connect with the sole here, and then they grow down together. And the horn tubule that starts up here has to end down here. You can't have it. Let me annotate for a minute. Just a minute. Okay, so the horn tubule starting here and connecting right here has to be right here and connect with the sole there and end there. Has to. Okay? And we're talking about all of the hundreds of them going along here. The one that started here has to connect with the sole here, grow down to the ground and end here. Okay, so, and it has to be at a specific angle. We're talking about the angle of the inner foot. Say, the angle that the foot is. So here in a minute, she's going to show, and you see here, you've got to have a specific heel formation here where, like, here's your heel buttress corium, where this solid chunk of triangular wall grows right here, which stabilizes the whole wall. on each side. And so that has to be a certain length, start growing here, connects with the sole here, and then they have to grow another 3/4 of an inch so that you can even have sole under your heel, so that you have got uniform sole thickness under that foot, so that look how the horse is standing now in that capsule. That, okay, that's how you want your horse to stand. And of course, it's not just this alignment, it's also, you know, the length of the foot, that your cartilages are not bound up at all. So you don't want a horn tubule that starts here but ends up here. Because whenever any of these are not in alignment here, well, that means they're not connecting with the sole here properly. And so there's no connection or support for the sole in here if it's up here. So what are you going to have in here? You're going to have wall separation. That's why you can't get a tight white line right here, because the horn tubule is not growing down here, connecting with the wall here, and then growing down together and ending right here where it's supposed to. Instead, it's up here. I've seen them where the horn tubules right here are clear up here at the toe. See, they'd be going clear like this. Okay, so what we're doing is we're bringing everything back into alignment by what we're doing here. Okay, just a minute. Clear. All right. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, this is normal hoof growth. What you're seeing here, you see the arrows going down. She's showing. Okay, but when the heels are trimmed too low, look how that set the horse back on his heel. Now, what else is that going to do? That changes the angle of all the horn tubules. Look here, we're going to do this. Okay, I'm just going to put this on here. I'm going to see if this will work. Just a second. Okay, we'll put one here and here, and here, and here. Okay, just a second. See if this works. Just a minute. Okay, now, did you see what happened there? You see where the horn tubules were when everything was correct? Now look what has happened now that some heel's been trimmed out. See how they're no longer in alignment back here? Just a minute. See here? Starts here. Starts back here. See how that changes? Starts back here, but you know what it's going to do? It's going to push them all this way. Because see, they're all supposed to be in alignment. You're not supposed to have some that are like this and some that are pushing like that. See? So this has started a process by lowering this heel. Even if you just lowered it a little bit there, because, well, you know, you're going to lower it to whatever the frog height that is, which is the wrong thing to do. Thinking that you're developing frogs. See, that's what they're teaching people. Just a minute here. Okay. See, slowly it changes the angle of all these. And now what do we have? We have them growing forward. See? The changes are very subtle at the beginning. But within each cycle of growing and trimming, they gradually start to move forward. Let's see here. Let's use green. Okay, now this is where we started. Remember, everything was in alignment with the inner foot. But now the foot is being pulled down and the horn tubules are now growing like this. See, this one here would be growing there. See there how it's changing now? Now remember, these horn tubules are supposed to be in alignment like this. Or not horn tubule, the lamina on the inner foot. You see the lamina on the foot in there, okay? Those are connected to lamina leaves of the hoof capsule. That's what connects the wall to the inner foot, and they're supposed to be in alignment like this. But when you over trim the heels, then all of a sudden you have them doing this number. You have them, the foot still wants to pull this way. The foot doesn't want to change, but you have changed. They're pulling against each other in fact. The hoof capsule is pulling forward and the foot is pulling back. So you have the lamina tearing in here, tearing away. The hoof capsule is tearing away from the inner foot with each step. Just a minute here. Okay, so with each cycle, see, everything slowly changes. See how she's changing those arrows there? This is the hoof capsule tearing away slowly from the inner foot, disconnecting right in here from the sole. See? So now you have these big gaps here in the quarters. Because again, why? First of all, one thing that happens is when you're trimming the heels out, it weakens the whole back of the foot, and this pushes forward, which is also going to push the wall out to make it look like a flare. Well, at the same time, I was looking for my annotate. I need something to draw with here. Hold on. Okay, at the same time, this is all pushing forward. Can't remember what I was going to say. Okay, and pushing outward. Okay, this piece here that was supposed to grow down here and be connected with the sole here, and then support the sole and be connected to the sole here. Instead of doing that, it's been shoved forward clear over to here. So there's two things that are happening here to the quarter. One, it's become pushed forward because the buttress is no longer stabilizing the hoof wall. So you have the buttress pushing this forward, which is also pushing it out. At the same time, this horn tubule is not connecting to the sole anymore. It's being pushed up here. And so there's two reasons why you have separation in the quarters. Okay, so what we're doing, we're reverse engineering all this so that eventually we can grow this down, connect it with the sole again, and they grow down together, and you don't have that separation in the quarters. That's why the feet want to chip off here a lot too, which in reality is a good thing, because when they chip off and break out in the quarter, that gives the horn tubules room. When they're up here and it chips out, it gives it room to move back like that. Okay, hold on. So this slowly happens until the whole structure is affected. And it's also bending the back of the coronary band down and pulling things under. It's a domino effect. Thins the sole out. Another reason why you don't have any sole. Stretching and flares. And may lead to laminitis. Often leads to laminitis. Irregardless, you got a form of laminitis going on to one degree or another anyway. Anytime you have any pressure and sensitivity or tearing away of the internal lamina of the hoof capsule from the inner part of the foot. Okay, now she's showing the distortion of the hoof capsule, how it's bending the back of the hairline down. Doesn't always do that though. This is one form that is a common form. Sometimes it won't always look quite like this. There's a couple of different forms it takes on. Now you're going to see what happens to the frog. See how it's getting thinner and thinner? See how the digital cushion is being pulled down right here? See, remember I told you it's stripping that frog stay out from between the bulbs. Okay, let's stop this. Okay. I'm gonna stop this. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to this. I'm not gonna make any comments. Hold on. And I want you to watch it through one more time, and this other one through one more time. Repetition, repetition, repetition. That's how you become a student. That's how you become a disciple. That's how you be, okay. Disciple is just a student, okay? Also, people that want to make money off this and want to steal it and stuff like that, they like to say you're in a cult, my friends. That's right, because we want our horses' feet to be right. Because you don't want to follow them. They're going to say, well, you follow that Linda Harris, you're in that tech. They're just nothing but a cult. See, what a crock. This is what they always accuse about the truth. See? Tell them to shove it up their wing wang. All right, just a minute here. Let me undo this. Annotate. Undo. All right, so watch this through again. I'm going to play them both through again, and then we'll look at some other stuff here.
Hooves. They seem to come in very different shapes. Or that is what you have been made to believe. The truth is, each horse has the same bones, tendons, and cartilages inside. So why are the capsule shapes so different? It's because humans have been taking care of them. For centuries, the hoof capsule was seen as the foot of the horse, without any understanding of the internal structures. It was modified by trimmers and farriers into various shapes following trends, fashion, or misconceived notions that the hoof is made of different parts disconnected to each other. But the capsule must reflect that inner structure because it is a unit. And every external part must match what it is internal for. This is how it realizes its full functionality. That is what TACT, which stands for the anatomical correct trim, is all about, which is letting the capsule grow from the inner foot just as it is meant to. But in order to achieve that, we must first understand the anatomy of the hoof. This is a perfect hoof. The shape of the capsule is according to the internal structures. All the horn tubules are parallel, from the dorsal wall to the heels. The hairline is a straight line, and all the growth rings growing from the coronary band are also straight lines. There are 2/3 before and 1/3 of the foot behind the bones line, and most of the part is occupied by the heels. Let's remove the dermis tissue, the corim. Now let's go deeper into the very center of the foot. Oval, not round. Spade-shaped, not oval. Coffin bone covers approximately the half of the foot. But what about the other half? Just below the corium, we find more digital cushion that extends beyond the frog area. The collateral cartilages are attached to the coffin bone at the palmar processes, and they also fuse with the digital cushion, giving protection to the tendons. healthy hoof has a well-developed frog stay. It is one of the most important parts of the shock absorption system, yet is very underrated. The bulbs are not in contact with the ground when the horse is standing, and the hairline is horizontal.
I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and read this one. This is a theoretically perfect hoof fit was made using photo manipulation programs to achieve a capsule that fits. Anatomically correct to the inner foot. Remember, it's the inner foot. Now, oh, what am I doing? Okay, I'm going to say something here. What I want to encourage you to do is to be a disciple of the horse's foot. Not me, okay? Not my teachings. You see, what I am trying to point you towards is the inner foot of the horse. If you study that, okay, then you're going to know that you know. See, you're not just going to be following some person. Until you become a disciple of the foot of the horse. See, that disciple means to discipline oneself to a certain study. See, you get to know the inner foot, the whole thing, first and foremost as a whole unit. And then, you know, your brain can start putting stuff together like, well, yeah, it should have a foot, it should have a shoe that fits, right? See, this is not rocket science. And so, you know, sometimes it's harder than rocket science, but when you get to thinking all the distortion and then all the lies and all the falsehoods that are taught about the foot of the horse, you know, so the reason I try and direct people to study the foot itself, all right, is so that then you can start figuring out when that capsule is not fitting your horse's foot. You know, and it's not just me telling you, you can see it for yourself. I mean, you're seeing these videos. What am I pointing to? I'm just pointing to the truth of what's really going on in this foot. That's all. Okay. Okay, so we're getting all the parts here. Cartilage, coronary band, sole, wall. Remember though, this is the foot. This part's the foot. Again, this is what we want. We want this big, thick frog, thick sole, tight fitting dorsal wall. Now it's just going to show again what happens when you're over trim the heels, and it happens gradually. But now too, they're making it happen at a fast pace because they've developed this thing called ramping heels. Ramping heels is where they trim the frog down in the back as low as they can, and then they ramp, literally take this part of the heel and cut it off right here, which forces the horse back on its heels, which forces it to roll all the cartilage under like this. So again, she's just going to show how this is going to change the alignment of the hoof capsule to the foot. Starts pushing all those horn tubules in a different direction, separating the wall from the sole right in here. Like dominoes. And it happens so gradually over time that people don't even know what's happening. And the only reason we know how it's happening because people taking thousands of pictures. See, I took thousands of pictures of my horse's feet over a 15-year period of time. There wasn't a trim that went by that I didn't take anywhere from 80 to 150 photographs. So you see it in pictures, you start to see things. See, but now you take people who they're not trimming their horse's feet and they're not taking pictures. And the farrier's there and he's trimming the horse, but it's a slam bam, give me my check ma'am thing, you know, and then he's gone and he doesn't come back for 5, 6, 8 weeks, whatever, you know, he's not going to see those changes in that horse's feet. And the human doesn't see it, and it's happening all the time. And horses' feet adapt so they can survive. These hooves are made to adapt to a degree, but then there just comes a time when that foot can't adapt to the damage anymore. And you come out one morning and that horse is lame as can be and is diagnosed with laminitis and rotation, and you think it happened overnight. And it was something the horse ate. When this was happening all along. And of course, when you get damage here, then it's going to start to damage the toe of the coffin bone. Okay, see the horn tubule right here, how it's going to change? It's going to start going forward. That means it's going to push everything in front of it forward too. But again, you know, unless you're taking pictures, you're not going to see this. Of course, what's happening to the inside of the foot? Now remember, this part's the capsule. So as you're incorrectly trimming the capsule, it's pulling the inner parts of the foot into its distorted shape. Okay, let's she's got one more video here where she shows these were considered now this kind of cool the way she did it. These feet right here are on a pretty guy that's become pretty popular trimming, and everybody thought that he's just the bomb and creating all these perfect feet. Okay, and so there were just all these compliments on what. See, he's very artistic. The guy is very talented, very artistic, takes these pictures that really impress people. And so everybody was commenting on these feet, how perfect they were. And so Milena took these feet and she's going to show you how they're not perfect. And these aren't perfect feet, and we reject this notion, okay? Rejected, these are not perfect feet. We're gonna look at these a little later as well. See how the coronary band curves down and under? Inner foot, she didn't have no sound on this. Showing the cartilage, how it's pulled down. What she does is she takes it from a stage where it's already distorted, and she's going to show you what it really should be. I'm going to show you a foot that's the exact opposite of this picture somebody posted here on our group page. So she says, let's simulate hoof growth. If you were to correct this foot back to where it should be, leaving the heels a little longer, eventually is going to grow the capsule back in and expand the cartilage to where it should be. Now, hoof growth comes down, your intertubular growth rings are straight down like that. Now look at the inner foot. Okay, that's how the inner foot is supposed to look right there. See, this is what would be happening if you're restoring your horse's foot, restoring the frog stay, lifting the cartilages back up. Okay, hold on here. Now, last week, let's see here. Let's go to my channel here. Right here, last week I did a deal where I annotated on this. So let's just stop here a second. I'll show you. Okay, so, you know, these videos were old and we learned some things after she did them. Okay, just a second here. Let me get the annotate out. Okay, like if we had to do this over again, I would have made this foot here bigger. Okay, I would, instead of it ending right here, I know that it more or less goes like, oh, that's not the right color. Just a minute. Draw. I would have made it more like this. More like this. Up here, it's pretty good. But towards the end, over here, we didn't quite fit it correctly. This would have been your heel buttress back here. And your frog corium would have also come back here. Okay, so what now I'm going to show you is as the heels are trimmed out, what happens to the inner foot? Now the coronary band is right here. Okay, and remember, it grows the horn tubules and they have to grow down, well, okay, like so, in alignment with one another like this, because if this horn tubule here changes the angle and goes like that, well, it's going to push into the ones in front of it that are right there and push them forward, which pushes into that one and pushes it forward. And they're just going to keep pushing this direction and growing forward. Like on my horse, he developed, they pushed clear up to here, and then right here it cracked. Sometimes you'll get what's called a quarter crack from this. We're going to see some of that here a little later. Let me undo this. Okay, so now I'm going to play this. We're going to see how much trimming the heels deforms this foot. Now, the thing I want you to remember is this is your horse's foot. This is the way it was meant to be. See? And you're going to see just how much it's going to damage the back of this foot. Remember, this cartilage. If I take and I smash your nose down onto your face and hold it there, it's not going to feel very good, is it? Well, there's your horse's foot. That cartilage is the same thing that your nose and ear are made out of. Okay, so, all righty, so here you go. Okay, we're going to stop right there. Look at how much that cartilage can be moved. Okay, now look here. Got to annotate just a second here. Okay, so originally the horn tubules on the hoof capsule that grow from the coronary band right here were growing straight down like so, supporting the whole back of the foot. Okay, now where are they growing now? These that are growing here are now over here. See how that is just structurally totally messed up? And what are they doing? They're pushing everything in front of them forward. But here's another thing that happens, okay, is once this gets curled up and under here and bound in here, the hoof, everything that grows on the hoof is like grass. You know how when you cover grass up, it quits growing? Eventually, when all this is bound up, this part totally quits growing. So it's not even growing any wall. It's you've got horn tubules growing from in here, basically. And this usually just quits growing because it's bound up in there. Okay, just a minute here. So what are we going to do? We're trying to figure out ways to reverse engineer this whole process. There you go. Okay, I'm going to stop this now. All righty. So now we're gonna look at a couple of feet that are on the group page, and we're gonna apply the principles in evaluating them that we watched in the first video as to what the correct structures of the foot are supposed to be. One that is also real important that we're going to look at is, just a minute here. Oh, let me undo this here. Is, just a minute here. Oh. Just a second, because I want to take a picture of this one. See, and here's the thing. Okay, it would be good to go. I haven't had time to do a lot of this stuff. Okay, it would be good to go through this video and just do some little diagrams and write down a little list of what you should look at. Just a minute here. Oh, that's understanding hoof distortion. That's not the one I wanted. Okay. Just a second here. Oh, hush. There was. Okay. Where are you? Right here, when you look at the front of your horse's foot, what are you looking at? Okay, we're going to compare this to a picture I saw. And we're going to use all these principles to evaluate a couple of feet that have been posted recently. Now, the object of this is to get it so this is what you do when you're looking at your horse's foot, or, you know, because what you're going to find too is that as you look around at other people's horses' feet, you might want to help them, you know. So let's see, what should I save this as? Oh, okay, I'll just save it as that. Copy. And I'm going to put it in Paint here somewhere. Okay, this is what I made earlier. Well, wait a minute. I got to share. I'm not sharing at the right spot. Okay, did that change? You see that now? Okay. I just wanted to post this on here. Just a second. For later. Okay, what I want you to look at though is this right here. Does anybody talk to me? Can you tell me what you're seeing there? Can you see these 2 feet and these
You see your screen.
Yeah, we can see them.
Okay.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, how you doing? Good to hear your voice.
Thank you. Yeah, you too.
Okay, so I took this picture off here, showing you where the coffin bone is and why it's so easy to manipulate the rest of this foot, because it's all soft cartilage, fat, and soft tissues. You know, and slowly as this hardened hoof capsule is changed, it binds and pulls the foot into its shape. Say, instead, what do we want? We want the foot full and relaxed like this, with the capsule fitting it perfectly, just like we would want our shoes to fit. Now, what was interesting is there's a gal that just posted some pictures of, she's got a warm blood, and this mare was not shod for the first 5 years, and then she was shod. But what I noticed, at least on one foot, is that she had tremendously beautiful cartilages. Okay, and it's the antithesis to this actual foot that this video was made on. Just a minute here. I'm going to take a picture of this so I can kind of enlarge it. And file and save it as, what do I want to call it? I got so many different things. Let's see. I'll just call it that, so then I can bring it up again in here in the pictures. Yeah. Just a second. Okay, I think I have that up again. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I really want you to look at these 2 feet, at how they're just the opposite. You know, now this foot here still, you know, I can tell by looking at the skin here that yes, some of the capsule is trimmed out, but the cartilages are not wanting to pull down and hold. Now you need to really understand this, that for some horses, when this is taking place, the cartilages will be bound into the hoof capsule. But some horses, their cartilages will not stay bound in the hoof capsule. The cartilage will tear up out of the hoof capsule like this, you know, like this cartilage would come up here. But what happens is the periopal skin right here will stretch and it'll grow too. It'll grow as the cartilages are stretching back up out of the hoof capsule that has gotten smaller, because ideally the hoof capsule should be supporting it up here, right? Okay, it's been pulled down. This cartilage and fat does not want to stay down like that. The times when this type of deformative trim works the best is in a dry climate, which this guy's in Arizona, so he can get away with it. You're going to have a hard time getting away with this kind of a trim in a really moist, wet climate, because this periopal skin, okay, it's not going to harden and bind and hold the foot under. See, when you trim the heels out like this and it starts pulling all this cartilage down like so, this periopal skin shrinks and binds and gets hard, and the frog does too, because of course they don't trim the frog. They trim the very, very base of frog, but that's it. All of that works to bind and hold those cartilages under like that. And so some feet will not do that. The cartilages comes loose, and then the periopal skin that binds the foot and the hide to the hoof capsule, as it grows, it will just allow the cartilages to come back up like that. And so, like on this foot here, I can see that a lot of what's going on with the back of this foot is a combination of stretched periopal skin, and otherwise, look at what I want you to see. Look at the growth rings. Do you see how they curve down like that? That shows that there is heel trimmed out here, but that the cartilage did not get bound down in the same direction as the foot was trimmed out. See, like here, how it just followed it on down like that. See, the curves go down like this on this foot too. So if she's going to restore the heels, it's going to lengthen and lengthen the capsule here and support the back of the foot more. And you're going to see these growth rings. They would have to be like this. Here, I'll show you my horse's foot. Maybe not. Not sure if I can find a picture. Just a second. See, you got to keep remembering that the inner foot and the capsule are two different things. You're dealing with two objects. Just a second here. I don't know where my most recent, these are like over a year old. Just a second, let me see. And I can't find them. Well, I'm not going to do that right this minute. Just a minute. Okay, so we're going to go to the group page and we're going to look at some people's feet and we're going to apply these principles. And then this week, I'm going to open up a thread, post, whatever, and I would like you to just take one picture of one of your hooves, side view preferably, and apply some of these principles to that. Like read the horn tubules in your horse's foot and figure out how to put that foot in paint or in some kind of a program to where you can mark on it And just read the horn tubules even. Are they starting at the correct, or well, they always start at the correct place. Are they ending at the correct place? See, things like that. Go through these videos a couple times. See what you can apply to your horse's foot and try and share something, because the more that you work at doing this and then sharing it, the more that you will learn personally and grow from it. Okay, so just a minute here. I have to go find Facebook and then I'll get you on there with me. So hold on. I can't remember which okay, I got to go to a different page. Hold on. Okay, this is the foot I want to look at first. Just a second and I'll get you there. Hold on. Got to find the 2 feet. Well, we'll start with this one I wanted to look at. Just a second here. Just a second. Okay, share screen. Okay. You see we're on the group, the mentor page there. Okay. So this foot here, Allie Doyle, and she says, hello, I wanted to share these pics of my mare's feet. She's 7 years old. She is 16.3 warm blood. She was in shoes the past 2 years, but unshod her first 5 years. She is about 4 weeks out of shoes now and clearly some chipping. I posted a picture recently and you all reassured me that this is normal and I feel okay about this. Okay, anyway, she's saying the barn manager is concerned about the chipping of the hoof. So let's just take, this is the picture I had that I just showed you where I compared the 2 feet and I was showing you how great the cartilage is on this horse. Okay, so now if we're to take the principles that we just learned from watching those videos and look at these feet, let's see what we would see. Let's see. Did that pop a picture up? A bigger picture?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, well, and then it told me it wasn't available. Let's try this. Now, she posted these pictures, but she's posted some others too. Now, when we think, this isn't that great a picture, but we can still tell a lot from it. If I take this picture, just a minute here. Let me close something out. Even this picture here. Okay, can you see this picture? I got a side view of this foot. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to annotate on this picture itself. Now, the one thing that we want, just a minute, is what about the horn tubules? Okay, are they in alignment? They're not, are they? So right away, we know something's wrong there. We do know that this horse needs to grow some more heel in to lift the back of this foot up and expand this hoof capsule out this way. So that's something we're seeing right there. Let's see, just a minute. Undo. Now, something else. She talked about how this horse is breaking out in the quarters. Do you remember how I was telling you how your wall starts up here, it grows down to here, it connects with the sole here, and then they grow and support one another. They grow down to the ground together. And so the wall has to be connected to the sole right here. And it starts right here and it grows down and it ends in a specific location. If your wall is supposed to end here, but it ends here, it's not connecting to your sole correctly, right? And so that's when you're going to see, we see it here, the breaking out in the quarters. See, so then you're going to plan, well, what do I need to do? Well, we use a principle of weighting the heel wall right in here and thinning out some of the periopal and the frog back here to release the foot. And then we start growing these horn tubules in here so that they will start lifting this foot up here. And so the growth, you're not going to see the growth come out down here as much as you're going to see that as you weight the wall back here, it's going to allow the growth to be added in up here and start lifting the back of this foot up. Well, that's going to uncurl and uncover this part of the coronary band that's up here so that then it can start. Remember I told you, when all this gets pulled down and under and it covers up some of those tubules that grow the heel buttress, they quit growing. Well, as the foot expands and lifts up, those horn tubules are going to start growing again. See, and lifting up and adding to and bringing up the back of this foot like that. Well, as this brings up the back of this foot, you're going to be able to work with these horn tubules here, and they're going to start coming back like this, to where once again, they can grow from here, grow down to here, connect with a piece of sole and grow down to the ground together. And eventually you're going to have a foot that is in more of an alignment. Do you see that? So you're adding to the capsule here, which is lifting up the back of the foot here. Now, on this foot, at least on this side, we see that the cartilage is way more bound than it is in the other foot and pulled down. See how that's rounded there? When we saw on her other foot, the cartilage was nice and high and really expanded. But here, the cartilage and the bulb has stayed bound into the heels that are being slowly trimmed out, and it has been more compressed into that smaller capsule. On the other foot, I think you would have an easier time replacing the hoof capsule that is not in that foot, since the cartilages are not bound and pulled under the foot. So it looks like she has, this is the front left. I think the other one was the front right. I will have to look to make sure. So actually, it's interesting that you have the two scenarios that I told you about. The one where the cartilage refuses to be bound into the reduced size hoof capsule that is formed from over trimming the heels, and one where the cartilage is bound. So that's pretty interesting. So this foot would be more like the other foot that I showed you. Where is it here? Just a second here. That foot is going to be more like this foot. See, she's got one foot like this and one foot that's more like this, Because remember, these are two different horses right here.
We're on a different screen.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. I need all the help I can get. And there we go. This picture that I showed you earlier. So we see that her one horse, the foot is like this. The other foot on her horse is more like this. Because remember, I was telling you there's two different scenarios. In one, the cartilage refuses to be bound. It will stretch back up. But the reason you don't see a big bloody gap here is because this periopal skin adapts and stretches and fills in the gap. Okay, here the foot stayed bound, the cartilage stayed bound under, bound by the periopal and into the hoof capsule. And so what we have with her horse here is you have one foot that's like this and one foot that's like this. Okay, but they're both caused from the same thing. And that is, you know, it's not just that you're trimming the heels out. Okay, like in barefoot trimming, they purposely trim the heels way too low and basically out because they're trying to make that triangular funky foot. But, and the 30-degree hairline up here a lot of times. But in regularly farriery, they're not usually trying to do that. It's just that they don't understand the back of the foot. They don't know the correct anatomy. And so they don't know how to read it and they don't know how to trim it. And they unintentionally over trim the heels all the time. Okay. And they don't know this is going on. Nobody has known this is going on. Why is that? Because photos. And farriers don't constantly live with the horse, you know. And so we, as having these horses and seeing them every day and knowing when even a little hair is out of place and something's wrong, you know, we're like mothers to them and caretakers. And so we notice these things and so get pretty obsessive about it, you know. And so thanks to our obsessive motherly instincts, we're learning these things. And because of pictures, so many people taking pictures, you know, you start to see patterns. Okay, let's go back and look at some more pictures of her horse's feet, which is very interesting. That one is bound up. They're both bound to a degree and they're both incorrectly trimmed, but they each had a different response. So let's see here. Okay, so and still some of it didn't bind totally, or it would be down here even more. Okay, let's see what else we got. That's the front left. Of course, we know there could be more flaring in the wall here. We don't know because of course this foot has been dressed down by a farrier. So okay, so again, the front left, and you see how, now see there, how I said, because of the horn tubules, see this horn tubule should not be ending up here. Right there, just a minute. Annotate. We'll do green. Okay, this horn tubule here should not be clear up here. Okay, and actually it would even be longer than the horn tubule in the dorsal wall. You see that? Okay, we've already seen what the correct structure of a hoof capsule is supposed to be. You know, it's just like when you have your house built, okay, there is a specific way that they have to frame in the walls for everything to be correct, or you're going to have structural failure. It is the same with the container, the housing that is on your horse's foot. Okay, these are structural principles that have to be adhered to, or you have structural failure. And the structural principles are the capsule has to fit the foot. It is not supposed to pull the foot into its deformed shape. Okay, and so the correct structure would be this shape here. Let me do it in a different color so we can see it here. And remember, repetition, 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 that's what disciplines a person to see things. You see it over and over and over and over again, and just when you think you know it, you do it again. Just a minute here. Annotate. Let's see, what color? Okay, so correct draw is pretty much like that. And then the horn tubules must be in alignment. Your heel buttress would be back here, about that much of solid chunk of wall. Then you have your horn tubules, which are mini, lining up here. I'm just giving an example like this. Now, you notice that the horn tubule that starts here, okay, it doesn't end up over here, does it? See, so when I'm looking at this foot here, and I notice up here that this horn tubule goes clear up to here, I know something's wrong. I know that, well, that wasn't even it. I saw it. It was like, just a minute. Can't see it now. It went like, about like so. See? So I know that if my horn tubule starts here and ends here, and that it's longer than this one, I got a problem. Can you see now why the sides are breaking out so much? And actually, that's a good thing. I really like this little breakout here. I've been kind of experimenting with the deal where I actually start notching heels like this. And what I have found is that then they don't get pulled forward, and they tend to stand up better as they grow. Okay, so anyway, just a little thing I'm working on, theory. But this is not theory. Nothing I'm showing you here is theory. Okay, this is the correct form of the hoof capsule, period. Okay, it's not a theory, it's not a guess, it's not just my way of doing it. Okay, this is the truth. And the internal lamina of that hoof capsule must line up with the horn tubules, and the horn tubules must be longer in the toe, get shorter as they go back, but gradually, and the back of the foot must be supported by the hoof capsule. There is no ifs, ands, or buts, or any argument to this whatsoever. Okay? You know, it's not just, well, you know, I like to check out all methods. This is not a method. This is the truth. Okay? This is the way this hoof capsule was designed by God to fit on the horse's foot. Okay? And there ain't no ifs, ands, or buts, or another way about it. All right, now you can make it look different and you can distort it, but it ain't going to work for you. You know, how, you know, your heart surgeon, you want him to know the correct anatomy of your heart, right? You don't want him, you know, cutting you open and throwing a bunch of leeches in there or something, right? You know, because that's the way he does his thing. You know, when it comes to anatomy and structure and physical laws, there is truth and error, and that's it. Okay. All right. So anyway, undo. Okay, so when we look at this foot, we know that things are messed up. So we know that hoof capsule has to be added here to pick up all that, and hoof capsule has to be taken out of this section here so that the whole thing comes back and stands up. See, all this got that way because the heels were being trimmed out and shoved everything forward, and so it all grew forward. It's no longer connected to the sole right here. It's been shoved clear up here. So there's nothing to support this wall here. And if you don't have a correct structure on the housing of the foot, we'll call it the housing, it's not going to connect with the sole right, and you're not going to get the thickness of sole that you want, because, you know, the thickness of sole would be like this. This would be your sole, how your sole is supposed to be in here. Okay, let's see. Clear all drawings. All right. Well, let's look at some more of her feet here. See, front right, I knew it was a different foot. See there? There's the front right, totally different. You know, still has heel trimmed out because you got this growth ring coming down here, because here's another thing. Okay, well, let's look at this just a minute. Okay, here's another thing. When it comes to the structure of the foot, now this one's a little better, but there's still some issues. It should be about to here. This should be probably a little longer. It's a little bit bound, not quite as bad as the other. Should be about to there. Okay. Here's another thing. That coronary band is supposed to be in there straight, running from here to here straight, not curved down and around. This one curves still a little bit. You can tell by the growth ring. Look at, see the shape of the growth rings here? That's not how they're supposed to be. Just that in and of itself tells you we're missing some hoof wall here. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. The growth rings and the coronary band are supposed to be like this. The horn tubules are supposed to be like this. Now, you can have a little bit of wave or fluctuation, but this is the structure, the basic structure of the hoof capsule. Okay? You cannot have horn tubules growing like that and shoving into the ones in front of them and shoving them all forward. You know, I've seen heels that were clear down, well, where is it here? That were clear down here. What happened to my drawing thing? Something happened. Just a second. I've seen heels that were clear down here and grown clear to there. You ever seen that? That this part of the wall that grows here was actually growing here, and it was clear down here and growing up that way. See, so we're just getting everything to line up and grow back and be structurally sound the way it's supposed to be. So these are things, I mean, you can flat do this. You take your just a minute. You take your foot and you just draw a grid around it, and then try and figure out, well, where is it? Like, where's the coffin? Where is the coronary band on this foot? it kind of ends somewhere down here. This is periopal skin up here that's stretched up here. This is all in all, though, I'd rather deal with this foot than the other one, because look here, you really see the truth about the cartilage. You see how it's straight here? It isn't circled around like that. You know, that's a distortion. Really, these horses have way bigger cartilages back here and way more foot behind here than what we have been led to believe, because it so easily seems to get pulled down and under and around and bound. Okay, let's see. Clear all drawing. Somebody raise their hand. I didn't know you could do that. What did you want? Marlene, did you raise your hand? Hello? Is anybody there?
Gary, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, well, see, on my thing, it said somebody raised their hand. I didn't even know you could do that. That means you want to ask a question.
Yeah, you can do that. I think somebody must have pressed it by mistake.
Oh, okay. All righty. Just a minute. Okay, so let's look at some more pictures. Okay, who could tell me what they think about this frontal view? What is the thing that you would notice? Okay, well, wait a minute. Wait. Let me get this picture up just a second. Just a minute. Let me find this other picture. Hold on. I'm gonna get a copy of it here. Okay. Oh, I don't know if I can show them both at the same time. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll flash you on it, and then you look at this and tell me what you see. Just a minute. Okay, so similar to this would be correct. Are you seeing the one with the outline in the blue of what the correct structure would be? Okay, now let's go to this other one here. I wonder how I should do this. Just a second. Let me do something else here so you can look at them both together. See, if you could get, and of course, I wish I could do it. You know, I wish I had time to do it, you know, make yourself some diagrams or something, you know. That, see, you even doing that work to draw like a kind of a hoof with the diagrams of how the growth rings and you know, about where the hairline should be, you know, what I'm showing you here. Okay, you just doing that and working on that, that helps you understand this stuff more too. Just a minute here. What was I gonna do? Okay, just a second. I want to take a picture of this and put it next to that other picture so you can look at it. Okay, again, this is a front right. So this is the one with the more upright and correct cartilages than the other foot had. So we're gonna put this, I'm just gonna put this right here. And now I'm gonna reshare, just a second. Screen share. All righty there, do you see it? The comparison?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, so who can tell me some things that might be wrong in comparing these 2 feet?
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll go for it.
Okay, go for it.
If we look at the actual general shape of the foot, you can actually see that the, well, I don't know which side to call what, but the side on my left as I look at the screen, there where your cursor is, yeah.
Just
So
a
that
minute
looks
now.
kind of long. Yeah.
This
That looks
here.
kind of long. Yeah, that area right there. Yeah,
Okay, just
looks
a
kind of
second.
long and like it's
I'll mark on it. Hold on. Let me
Okay.
get a, this side looks longer.
yeah, and it looks like it's pushing up at the coronary band area.
It sure does, doesn't it? Just a second and I'll draw that. So up. Right there? Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. It's pushing up into the side of the pillar, if you can call it that. Yeah.
Oh, and right there, you can see it too. See
You
there?
can see it. Yeah, it's pushing
Yeah.
that whole area up. So that whole foot is medially imbalanced at the moment.
Yeah. And so then, of course, this side's lower.
Yeah, and that looks low on that side, dropping down as well.
I don't know how to participate in talking.
What? If you want to say
Testing.
something, just say it. You can interrupt. It's okay. If you want to say
We'll
something, go
forgive
ahead.
you.
Okay.
Because
Can
of
you
that
hear me,
imbalance, you
Linda?
can also see
Yeah,
how
I
the
can,
leg.
I can hear you.
Okay, I had it on my phone and this other thing, and I couldn't figure out how to comment.
Oh, okay. Was there
It's
something?
Mar.
Okay, go ahead and say something.
You can't talk because you have this set up.
Okay, we'll take that off. Sorry, my son's here and I've got it on my phone too, so it's echoing. Hairline is going down on the left side and it's bulged. And
Yeah.
then you've got, and, oh, what happened?
Keep going.
Oh, I don't want the picture. Take that one
Picture's
off.
good, don't worry.
Oh,
How do you get rid of this, Mac? I don't want this.
Just thank the video.
I don't,
Yeah.
hi, I don't want to have pictures of me.
just a minute. I'll
We already saw you. Too late, she
No,
cried.
did I get rid
At
of
least I'm
it?
not in my jammies this time, Linda.
Yeah. That's okay.
Okay, that's better. Yeah, I'll be quiet now.
Oh, you didn't have to be quiet. Okay, does
What?
anybody
It looks like
else
because of
want-
the imbalance, it's Tiffany, because of the imbalance, it looks like the leg is tilted if you go up the pattern. Yeah,
kind of like the
counter-
leg goes that way?
Yes. And I'm
Okay.
assuming that it goes up the shoulder.
Yeah, I'll bet so. And the like the foot is going this
That's
way.
right.
Oh, that's good. I didn't see that. That was good.
Thank you.
Good job. Anybody else notice anything?
Hi, everybody. I'm Angeliki.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. I see a jam in the growth rings in the on top.
Yeah, right here.
Yes.
Yeah, that would make it. And so, we
The
can't
growth ring, the yellow growth ring
right
on
in
the
here.
toe. Just in the middle of the hoof.
Okay. Right in here.
Yes, there.
Yeah.
There is a jam.
I'm s-
Somehow it goes up and down.
Yeah, it does. And it should be more kind of even. You see how they start to go like this,
Yes.
and you see here too, this is going to do it right here. Like I was telling you, look at that pillar right
Right.
there. See, I did this. I took a foot that had the capsule off and I took pictures of it and looked at it from the front at what it was supposed to look like. And that's how I wound up coming with this form like that. When you would look forward at it, it looked like this. It did not look like this. See there?
Mhm.
And so, you know, what I figured out was, and it's really hard to trim these pillars correctly. See, and get them short enough. They tend to grow forward and long, and then they get weighted, and then they start jamming up this way.
Yeah, so
They,
how do you correct that? That's confusing to me.
let me see. Let me undo some of this here.
It's Tiffany. I asked the question of my horse Hefner in the
Okay.
Facebook group.
Okay. Well, you have to start taking this area down more and back more. And at first you're gonna bevel it. Well, sometimes you bevel it, and sometimes you just have to rasp it flatter and lower. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna be reading the growth rings as well. Like when I first started on Molly, her growth rings went like this on the sides. But as I started trimming this down and back a little more and beveling it, this started dropping down, and then that growth ring dropped down, and then it became what you see here, which is in alignment with the foot. What I need to do is I need to do also a video that shows dealing with these pillars, because they really are, it really does take a bit to get them figured out so that you don't wind up with a round foot. First of all, if you look at the bottom of the foot and the foot is round, you know that something's off in your pillars probably. Or the foot is square. There's something off. So what I did was I took pictures, and then I just went out and I went ahead and I just took this area down on my horse to make it look like what I was, to make it look not to where, you know, I took off so much, because, okay, you can still have thin sole here, but the wall is pushed up this way. So you're kind of wanting to lower it and kind of bevel it so that the wall will drop back down this way.
Mm.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Someone
I
made a
understand. I
comment
don't know how
about
you
not
do it, though.
over beveling.
Could somebody say that again?
Oh, someone made a comment on the page about not beveling the toe too much. Now, is that, my friend commented on that. So she's just concerned about when not to bevel the toe.
Well, see, for me, I always took the toe back the same way every time. I always had a line that I drew in the sand on the toe. And then I would just blend the pillars back in as I went. You know, yeah, just a minute. Let me undo
I
some
kind of
this.
explained to her about that's why we mark up
Yeah,
from the apex of the toe, and then you see if there's any stretched white line or
yeah,
roundness to it.
yeah. The reason that we do the markup and the measuring is so that we make sure that we're not beveling too much into the toe, and we're not leaving too much of the toe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and at 1.5 inches on your standard size horses, that 1.5 inches to 1.75 inches, that leaves to the white line, that leaves you quite a bit of toe and sole left. See, according to all the measurements that I've done on these inner feet here, see, I make sure to leave quite a bit of toe. But to where it's not, so that you're not beveling back into the sole corium or something, or getting really too close, or getting into the whatchamacallit, sensitive sole. See? Just a minute here. Let me
But
undo.
by following your white line though, that from the apex measurement, you're pretty well safe.
Yeah. Yeah. From the true apex of the frog, and then you map forward 1.5 inches because the wall itself is about another 1/2 inch. So that'd be 2 inches altogether. You know, you're you are safe with that measurement. These measurements are general measurements, and none of them are unless you had a horse that was, you know, huge, humongous, you know, with big giant feet or something, you know. But really, these keep you within perimeters up to around a 16 hand horse. They keep you in the ballpark, you know. And then as you get to know the anatomy and your own individual horse, and you get more adept, then you can tweak it, you know, a couple of 1/8 or a 1/4 of an inch here and there. You see what I'm saying?
So like a traditional farrier, like that friend of mine's farrier, that, remember I said the 5 hoofs that she had, they all pretty well look like this middle foot that you're marking up, because they have to be able to put a shoe on a foot that has wall and almost square.
Well, but actually the way that I do, my foot winds up having a flat level plane. When all is said and done, my foot winds up having a flat level plane, because you're still going for a flat, and see, that's what they want. They want to be able to rasp a flat level plane that the shoe will fit. See, and they want to have thick wall. Well, my horse would be ideal to put a shoe on. By the time I get done trimming him, he's got it, well, especially after the correction is done and the horn tubules are where they are supposed to be and they're joined up with the sole, and you have uniform sole thickness and uniform wall thickness, then the feet that we would create would be the ideal foot to put a shoe on, but probably wouldn't need it. Does that make sense? Because it's flat there, and it's got thick walls, and there is no gaps, and there's good sole, there's good wall, everything. See, when they allow feet to be like this, what happens is then they start chipping out, because this capsule is not actually fitting the foot. So anyway, if that makes sense, yeah, just a minute here. I'm trying to figure out how to get out of here. Okay.
Thank you very much. This is really helpful.
Well, some of it's kind of hard to explain, you know. Let me undo this here. Let me show you. Wish I knew where my most current pictures were. I don't. These are from a year or so ago. But I just want to show you a couple things on my horse's feet, who used to have all kinds of gaps and flares and cracks and stuff like this. But this is what I've done. I have grown all the walls in to where the horn tubules line up to and come back to where they're supposed to be and join up with the sole, so that the sole is growing correct. And I've grown the heels in. And so I'm going to show you, well, okay, like I said, this is from a year or so ago, and I'm going to show you what the foot looks like, and without the bevel, and then with the bevel, and I'm going to show you the sole and how it is a flat level plane. There are no gaps. So hold on here. And how thick the hoof walls are. And like this one crack you're going to see, I noticed now today, and this is, when was this picture? Just a minute. Let me see. Okay, well, this was 11/30 of 2019. So this is like over a year ago on these pictures here. So just a second here. Okay, so here I'm doing a trim, and his heels were still not correct, but I have full sole. See, and you can see how thick the hoof walls are. They're even thicker now. You see how thick they are even in the quarters, really. So this is a flat level plane. Now you notice that the foot is not round or square. That's because the walls are following the shape of the foot. And so, Riza, you've shod horses. How would this horse be to put a shoe on?
Very easy.
It'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Yes, if always that feet like that, shoeing would be free. I mean, it would be like you had no worries. Put nails, you can put the nails anywhere. It's going to hold properly. The foot has enough support over the heel, over the heels, over the whole circumference of the whole foot, because the wall is even thickness right around. So this is like a dream horse to shoe.
Yeah, and another thing is that I had something I was going to say, and I can't remember what it was. Something about, oh, you wouldn't even hardly have to shape the shoe, would you? If you
Hardly,
had a cake
because
shoe.
you could put the shoe on the baby, just opening and closing it slightly. But I mean, where your heels are, there's no need to turn it in much. Maybe on the left-hand side of the right-hand side of the picture that we're showing, the side that the cracks on.
Yeah.
I'd be able to turn your heel a little bit there, but like a glove.
Yeah. Yeah. So see, this would be an ideal foot to put a shoe on. But the thing is, chances
you
are,
don't have to. When you have foot like this, you don't need a shoe.
You don't need a shoe, you know, and stuff. So this is kind of what we're aiming for, except like I said, I'm 2 years past this. So I have even much better foot than this now. But my pictures are all mixed up. But okay, so this is what it looks like without beveling the toe. And again, my heels have caught up, but I want you to look at the coronary band here, how straight it is. And I want you to look at the growth rings, how straight they are, how they go with the coronary band. And for the most part, the horn tubules, except for this one right here, pretty much come down and join where they're supposed to with the sole. Now this is kind of on an angle, but
yeah, the angle just make it look worse, but I mean, there we go. That's better.
Yeah, but as far as the form, see, the horn tubules are pretty good, and especially the coronary band is good. Now this crack is it's improved so much, it's unbelievable, because it's there because all these horn tubules pushed forward, and then they wouldn't go, this part of the wall said, no, I'm not moving, so they just cracked past it.
Yes, like they're climbing on top of each other. Same with the quarter crack, because your heel is pushing forward, and your toe, and as they trim, they keep pushing the toe back because it keeps looking long if your heel is trimmed out. So then then what happens is your conversion of horn tubules gets squashed in the middle there by the quarter, and then they can't go any further. And the only thing for them to release the pressure is like an earthquake. So it cracks. It pushes past each other. Yeah. And then they've got a quarter crack. I mean, it's not a quarter crack, it's your foot is being basically slowly being bound up till the point where the horn tubules are basically squashing each other so hard that it's actually jumping on top of each other and causing a crack.
Yeah. Structural failure. So I'm just gonna do a basic outline now. My heels here have now come back to here. See, because this is what happens. As you're correcting the hoof capsule and getting everything lined up, it's moving the inner foot. As you're giving the frog corium room to grow frog, the frog is also pushing up the inner foot and pushing the cartilages up like this. Well, then as the foot changes position, the capsule has to grow from that new position. See? So let's just take this. Okay, so my horn tubule in this case, which is right here. Okay, so this horn tubule still had, as the heel would come in, would move back to about here eventually. But look at these here. They're pretty much in alignment. See? Okay, now look at the, what?
Sorry, no, I was just going to say that the horn tubules in your area where you've got the coffin bone, which stabilizes that area, will always be more in alignment than where you have the soft tissue, the last part of the foot, the last third of the foot, which can distort downwards, upwards, sideways, either way. So that's where the problem lies, because the stability lent by the coffin bone allows you to have more symmetrical and more aligned horn tubules where the coffin bone is stabilizing that area.
Yeah, that
And as soon
makes
as you get to
sense
the,
for sure, right in here.
yeah,
And
yeah,
stuff
so as
now.
soon as you get to the soft tissue area where the basically your last third of the hoof, that's all flexible. So for that horn tubules to move out of alignment due to trimming issues, trimming out the heels, that type of thing, will definitely change the angle of the horn tubules in that area, which then causes a knock-on effect going forward. So eventually it will start pushing the toe tubules out of line, and you will have a disconnect. So it will end up like a, if I can call it, an inverted laminitis as such, like you explaining earlier.
Yeah.
Well,
and
that's my
stuff.
say.
So what you're doing is you're trying to get all these horn tubules to start lining back up and supporting the foot correctly. You know, so you're looking at where you're at and where you're going with these things. Let's see here, just a minute here. Clear.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
How do you deal with an old horse that has his cartilages, the lateral cartilages ossified? Sorry.
Yeah, so they're ossified right in here.
Yeah.
You know, see me
because I'm
personally,
trying so hard to make it come up, but it's very hard and it's very sticky on the bone, let's say.
yeah. Me
That is the
personally,
problem.
I have to tell you that I do not know. I've never had to deal with it.
Can I chime in, Linda?
But Riza may have, so let him.
Yeah.
The problem with the cartilages being ossified and basically turned into bone, then what happens is, depending on how much of that cartilage is also affected, sometimes it's not in the whole spectrum of the cartilage. Sometimes it's just the bottom part in the hoof. And if it goes higher than the hoof and becomes ossified, the top, you know, where the hairline is, above the hairline,
up in here.
Yeah, in that area, if that becomes ossified and calcified like bone, you've got no chance of moving it. You can break it off, it will break off. Some horses break it off and crack it off. If the soft bastion actually, the short bastion actually descends through it, because they're supposed to open up and like flex. In fact, so by them not flexing, you're not really going to get your hoof up again. It's basically
right.
It's going to keep contracting. I can tell you this because I've seen this with many horses where that happened, and the foot just keeps on contracting. You've just got to manage the horse keeping sound. Eventually, what will happen is the coffin joint will also fuse with a type of ring bone through, because of this whole scenario. So you'll have a horse, and instead of flexing his actual foot, he will only have flexion higher up, like from the fetlock, sometimes the long bastion, but mostly you will find that the whole foot will become basically locked in. So it's a type of thing that keeps on progressively getting worse. So I mean, as horses get older, so it's not really. I won't say it's fixable. I've never fixed one. I've been trying, and there's been no results in fixing that. So I don't know if somebody else has tried, but I can tell you to turn bone back into cartilage, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and something I heard too, something they used to do, they used to cut them off.
Oh,
Don't
God.
ask me how that
Yeah.
worked, but yeah, they used to cut them off
They used to break them off. Some horses used to break them off.
and break
If
them
it
off.
actually, yeah, what happens is the cartilage grows over the area where the soft, the short pastern used to be sent through them.
Right in here.
Yeah. So what happens is when they interfere with the short pastern, and the horse might not move properly, but what happens is suddenly he gets a fright and he takes off and he puts all the pressure on there, and the short pastern is now forced through the area, and then it cracks the cartilages, basically the ossified cartilages off, and the horse then moves better because obviously the actual hindrance is not there for him to stop the descent of the short pastern. But now it's not a cure, but I mean it helps some horses that has actually done this, and then they've decided to basically do an operation. But I don't know, they haven't really commercialized that operation, so I wouldn't know what else they do. But I know generally when that is calcified right up to the top there where the cursor is, your horse is going to start moving differently. Your coffin joint will eventually then start fusing, and you will have less flexion in that leg. So the foot will also start contracting, but that happens over time. But I mean, I've had a horse that was really badly ossified in both short pastern, coffin joint, and cartilages, and it still moved nicely because all the flexion then came out of the joint, but the horse couldn't be ridden or anything. It was just a pasture pet as such.
Yes, I understand all that because I'm trying now for 7 years to get Benenitra's hooves better. It is better, much better, but it will never come back the healthy way it should be.
Yeah, because what happens is when you lose flexion in your cartilages, you're actually losing a lot of movement in the foot that's actually feeding the foot and also stimulating and also weight dispensation. Everything basically starts grinding to a halt. So your foot will start contracting, and you can fix a lot of it by fixing the capsule basically, but getting the foot to function optimally is going to be a problem.
Yeah, I see. Thank you.
Okay, so here you see the crack. Now, again, I thought this was really neat. I haven't trimmed my horse for a couple months, and I noticed that, and it used to be when I didn't trim him for a while, this crack would open up. And I noticed today that it doesn't do that anymore, that it stays shut. So what that tells me is that the alignment of my horn tubules has come back, so they're not pushing forward anymore, and my heels have also come up. So I'm real happy with that. So anyway, here you see his from here to here, his dorsal wall is about 3.5 inches. Which is about right for him. And he's got good soul. And
how do you know he has good soul?
well, I'll show you. I can tell by what I'm seeing here. I can tell by pressing on it. I know that the inner foot itself is just a little over, in and of itself, about 2.5 inches. So if I know if I have about 3.5 inches, that he's got 3/4 of an inch of sole in his foot there. I can tell also by the heels, that he's got uniform sole thickness in his whole foot. Let me show you here. Okay, the actual inner heel of the foot ends about here. And so then the buttress continues to grow. And so you see how the sole is full, how full the sole is in here. All that, and the depth of the frog apex
Mhm.
here, the height of the bar, how the fact that this sole is live sole. It's not just dead, flaky, exfoliatable sole. It's live growing sole. And so all these different things tell me that he has anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to an inch of live sole, which is what they're supposed to be able to grow it to, which they can grow it to if your horn tubules are relatively in alignment and connecting, growing down and connecting with the sole right here. Then they can support the sole correctly and the sole can grow to its optimum thickness. So
So when you're looking at the dorsal wall
mhm,
of a foot, because I had a farrier say that about Blue, you know, my major rehab one. He said, oh, I can tell by looking at the outside of his foot that he doesn't have much sole.
mm. You know, I don't know what he's looking at, you know.
Me neither.
I look at lots of different things. You know, I look at what's going on with the heels. I know if their heels are run forward, they have no depth of heels, and a lot of times they're going to have thin sole. If they haven't got a tight dorsal wall, if the dorsal wall is stretched out, they can have thin sole. It's all about having a correct fitting hoof capsule where the walls grow down correctly and tight and join with the sole in the right spot so that they can support the sole. I mean, it's a whole view, and also looking at the depth of the apex of the frog.
That's a big one.
Thing, you know, because if we look at just a minute and I'll find let's see.
Shut down, so it must have been doing
We're
something.
going to look at the bottom of an internal foot here real quick, because yeah, just a second here. Stop share. Just a second. I'm going to share on something else here. Okay, so what we got to remember is this is what we're covering here. This is what we're growing to, is the inner foot. Now, I kind of wish I wouldn't trim this part here, so that you would see that, you know, the height is connected and this is the foot. And so we want to look at the shape. Now, this foot was deformed, this one here. What's interesting is it actually had a smaller hoof capsule than this foot. It was just weird. So this foot was deformed. The heels were actually pushed up and the bulbs were pulled down like that. This foot was actually correct here. So you see here, right around here, you have a convex sole ridge that grows, and it goes around and then it gets concave here. And so here's the apex of your frog. So a lot of times the depth of the apex of your frog also, you can look at, that's one of the things you look at to tell, you know, if you've got any sole depth.
Now, how much do we want in there?
You want, eventually what we want to get is we want to have 3/4 to an inch of live sole.
Wow.
Beyond the foot right here. I'm going to show you why. Just a minute here. Let me find another. Just a second. Well, I'm going to show you what I based my decision on that on. First of all, if I was going hiking in the mountains and I wanted a good pair of hiking boots, how thick are the soles? Does anybody know? Have a general idea how thick hiking boot soles are, Vibram soles?
An inch?
Yeah, right? I need that to protect my feet. So what does a horse need to protect his? You know, and the sole, we know that the sole grows to about an inch and then it dies. So that's telling us that the horse himself wants to have at least about 3/4 to an inch of sole on his foot. But what I also use for my determination of that, that's just two things that I use. First of all, the natural length that the sole grows to and then dies. That tells us how thick the sole ought to be. But also, I'll show you a picture of something else here. If I can find it, just a second here.
And when it dies, that's when it sloughs off.
Yeah, supposed to, you know, unless like for some reason the horse retains all that dead sole, then that can be an issue. Just a minute here. Stop share, and I'm going to share another picture with you. Okay, here's another reason I have decided that. Okay, you see, this is like the perfect wild horse foot. The mare was 3 years old. She died in the winter in a cattle guard. So she was found, her feet were still fresh. Okay, and she wasn't too old to where if she had if like there for some reason there's a big drought and a lot of no grass or whatever, that she had to overly wear her feet out. You know what I mean? So what you have here, look at the sole in this horse. You see, there's so many things you can learn from this. First of all, look at the angle of the lamina, and the wall would grow from up here. Here, I'm going to annotate on this. Pause share. Oh, where am I at here? Just a second here. Good and green. Okay, so just like I was telling you, like your horn tubules, the outer horn tubules start growing from up here, but they are in alignment here, okay, with
The coronary band.
the internal, see the internal lamina, and then you have the inner part right in here, the lamina of the inner wall of the hoof wall that joins with the lamina of the foot right here. Okay, now this lamina right here, this wall grows down. You see it right there? Right there, right there. Not clear at the bottom, but right here. It joins with the sole corium, right there. Now, and then they grow to the ground together, and this wall here supports and stabilizes that sole and keeps it underneath the foot. That's why the walls have to be a specific way. Now notice that they're longer here and they gradually get shorter as they go back here, right? And so do you see, just a minute here, let me undo this. Just a minute. Okay, do you see the sole tubules? See, so everything on this foot is tubules, even the frog, even the periopal, all like hairs. Every bit of it grows in a tubule fashion. And so the hoof wall being the hardest on the exterior, it has to join up with the sole in start here, join up in this specific spot in order to support that sole tubules, so that these sole tubules will be a specific angle. So just a minute here. I'm going to do this again, annotate some stuff here. Okay, so you see it joins up with this sole right here, and you see the tubule right there? You can see it. See? Then the wall is supporting that right there. Now, if your wall, which is supposed to grow here and end here, because you've trimmed the heels out and it's growing here, well, it's not connecting with your sole correctly. And so your sole is not going to, the sole is softer. So the sole is not going to grow to its correct thickness. So see, it's that thickness of sole, that's kind of the last thing we get after we're correcting all this. It's slowly improving, but it's not until these start kind of getting back where they're kind of supposed to be and closer that they're actually able to support that sole and let that sole grow correctly. And so the sole being at a specific angle grows to a specific depth. All right. So then if the tubules are bent forward or like that, they're not going to grow to the same depth, are they? Say you have to have these walls in a specific structural position to connect with the sole and then support the sole, because the wall is a retaining and supporting structure for the sole once it gets right here. So that's one of the things that tells me how thick this, that's just another thing that tells me how thick that sole should be. And common sense, you know, if I was out rugged terrain and wanting my feet to last, what kind of sole would I want? You know, well, I'm going to want a good pair of hiking boots with at least an inch of Vibram sole.
So that's possibly why the farrier said that he had thin soles, because his tubules go forward.
That could be,
by looking at it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and you know, if he just looked at it, and sometimes if you lift the foot up and you press and it gives, you know, you ain't got much sole as well, you know. So let's see, let me undo this. Clear all drawings. All right. Okay, and you know, here's another thing too, why I don't advocate a Mustang roll. Because if you thin down this area of the foot too much, how's it going to support the sole? What a wild horse develops as a Mustang roll is way different than me coming in there with the rasp and just thinning it out and making it look like a wild horse foot. You understand? If I was to come in here and over rasp this toe, okay, and thin out the wall, how's it going to support the sole? See what I mean? And what I have found is in these wild horses, just a minute, in these wild horses, just a second. If I can find the right foot here, it'll show you that they actually roll the wall, if that makes sense. And there, I've got one picture where it really shows the horn tubules here, and the horn tubules actually curl around. Okay, you can't make that happen with the rasp, because you know when these colts get up, they start moving automatic. They're moving from the second, you know, they're up and following their mothers, and so they roll the toe. So a Mustang roll is more than just a rasp toe, or it's not even really a worn off toe. It is a roll toe to where they literally roll the horn tubules, if I can find it here. I know I've got that picture here somewhere where you can see it's rolled, literally rolled. Yeah, maybe that. And oh, well, look here. Look at this guy. See his hairline? That ain't no 30-degree hairline. See it there? And look at the steepness of his dorsal walls. And again, all wild horses don't have good feet.
No.
You know, this particular horse, oh, here it is. Okay, do you see this foot here?
Wow.
You see how the horn tubules curl under? You can literally see them curling under towards the sole. Now that maintains the full strength of the wall around that sole in the toe. I mean, what an amazing thing. And so that's why I don't advocate doing a big Mustang roll with a rasp on the foot, because the hardest tubules, the outer tubules are the hardest, and they get softer as you go in. So if I rasp down the toe too much and to the inner softer wall where it's not supporting what little sole I may have, then that's gonna it's not gonna support the sole, you know. So I don't know if we can ever develop that kind of Mustang roll, because that is forged. You know what I mean? That's forged by that foal from the time he starts getting up and those feet start breaking over and rolling that toe, you know. So anyway.
Like you showed also if the pillars with the wild horses, how they rocker them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the quarters, how they rocker them right in here. Let me see if I can find.
It's because they're leaning to get down to their feet.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways. Okay.
So some of those pictures didn't have the bevel into the white line in the toe.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was rolled. Now me, I bevel my from the bottom out from the white line.
Yes.
You know.
And a sharper.
Okay, here.
Linda.
Yeah.
May I use this photo of the Mustang roll?
You can use, yeah, I'll shoot it to you here.
Okay, because I want to show them why they shouldn't rasp the toe wall.
Okay, let me find it again. Just a second here.
Thank
Okay.
you.
You mean the dorsal part, how regular farriers rasp down. Is that what she means, Linda?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm starting to have a brain hemorrhage here.
I think she was talking about
if they think that if they rasp the toe, they bring the whole hoof back.
Oh.
You mean from the top, right?
Oh.
From the toe wall.
The outer one, the outside.
The outer one, yes. And they take something like 1 centimeter off of the toe wall.
Oh, okay. Just a minute. Let me get that picture up. Can you take a screenshot, or do you want me to send you the picture?
No, I did take a screenshot.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, well, you know, you go thank Pete Ramey.
Thanks.
His picture, but just because, like me and my husband used to say, but the people we worked for on these ranches, just because you own it, don't mean you know it. So,
of course.
You know.
Of course. But it's so helpful to me, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, always sure. Your pictures to show things, because otherwise they don't get it.
Oh, I know it. I hardly get it myself sometimes. So, all right. So what time is it? All right. So 3:54. So we started at 1. So we've been going 3 hours. So you get the general drift here. I don't want to go, you know, another 6 hours because burn us all out. But anyway, so that's your homework this week. I'm gonna take pictures of my horse's feet this week to see where they're at. I'm kind of scared because I haven't trimmed him for a little while. And I'll post mine. I'm gonna compare them to these things. You might want to go through the videos a couple times and make your own little book, you know, of what to look for or something like that. You know, but that's really about all I have for today. I was going to show you, except I want to show you because I was showing in my horse's foot from a couple years ago. And so I just want to show you the end result of that particular trim before we leave here. So anyway, here I just wanted to measure the dorsal wall to show you how thick his walls were getting. The size of his foot. Now, this is what I mean by taking the toe back to the white line. See what I mean? Here's where I marked 1.5 inches right here. Okay. But I just take the toe, I just, you know, kind of, I'm standing there, I'm standing straight up. I'm just kind of, my arm is aimed straight at the toe and I'm just taking straight off across the toe. That's about all I did. Now I'll come in here and kind of maybe slightly round that little bit off, you know, but now that is taken back to the beginning of the white line. So see how that, you know, I showed you this picture before when you just rasp it flat. See, I rasped a flat plane. I used to not be able to get a clean white line here in the quarters. Used to be all hollow and broken out because all my horn tubules were run forward from trimming the heels out. So the horn tubules were not connecting here with the sole, but now they're connecting pretty good with the sole right here, at least the lamina. Let me go back here. Okay, so that's what it looks like before you bevel to the white line. But then, just a minute, hold on. I want to try and draw these up at the same time. Excuse me. Just a minute here. Oh, well, I wouldn't be able to do that. So, okay, so let me take a picture of these and put them in a second. Put them together so you can kind of see them. I'll put them in paint so you can see the difference. I think it's kind of important to see this. Just a second. Did I lose it? I seem to have lost where I'm at. Just a second. Oh, here we go. Just a second here. Okay. Now the reason I was marking this area here was just to show you how symmetrical the growth ring was. See how symmetrical they are? See, they don't go up like that. They're not jammed up. Hoof wall ain't jammed up. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take a copy of this and put it in paint, and then so you can just compare. So, and this way you see too kind of how I deal with the pillars. See, and blend them in and bring them back without overdoing them. Let's see here. Okay, stop share. Okay, see that? There?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now that's just taken back to the beginning of the white line from the bottom. You see, but it's not overly beveled. Now, if I really, there's times when I will bevel the sides way more than what I did here. If I'm trying to move these horn tubules back, say, just a second here. Let me, okay, so we're going to follow this horn tubule up here. If I can find it, just a minute here. Clear. Oops. Well, let's just follow this one up. It's about there. And I don't know if I can find it again. But what happens is you do wind up bringing the toe back and changing the angles of the horn tubules as well. I don't know where that is there. But anyway.
Wait, to clarify, are you saying that the bevel creates the horn tubules to kick back in one trimming?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it does kick them back. Just slightly at each trim. The best horseshoer I ever had always took off more toe than heel, you know, and so lightly at each trim, I would take off a little bit more toe and bring it back just a little bit more.
So we're in a restoration process of reverse engineering. Would you recommend trimming just daily with the fine tooth just to bevel the edges to bring back the horn tubules?
Well, I would suggest reading them, because what happens is they want to be back anyway. Like if your horn tubule is up here, it naturally wants to come back anyway. It's actually being pulled on by the foot. And so you bevel it, let's say you bevel it up to here, and that gives it room. And what'll happen is you'll come out in a couple days and it will have fallen down like that. And you'll think, wow, my bevel is gone. Okay. So you bevel it again, like say up to there, give it some room. You're just giving it some room, and you'll come out in a couple days and it'll look, you'll say, wow, the bevel is gone. Well, it seems like the wall grew, but the wall wasn't growing. This wall was actually falling, being able to relax and come back like that. See what I'm saying? And so what you want to do is, and first of all, here's another thing too, though. If you haven't got any heel and you've got a hairline that's down like that, you're not going to really get these horn tubules to come back. Before you ever get them to come back, you're going to have to grow this heel some in and raise this up a little bit so that you got a little bit of depth here. Then you can bevel this and it has some room to fall back. But you're going to have to grow in some heel here before you're going to get much of this to move back this way.
So that heel acts as a kickstand that when it comes up, I can then kick back the tubules.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Exactly. See, it's all based on structural principles. You know what I mean? Physical laws and structural principles. And that was one of the first things when I was trimming the heels out, but I didn't know I was trimming the heels out. Okay, I didn't know they had to have this heel buttress and all this going on. Well, I thought that my heels were run forward. And so I wanted to get them to stand up again. But I saw that if my heel back here is only this long, but this horn tubule up here is this long, that's not going to kick this. That's not going to kick that back up. So I thought, okay, well, I'll grow the heels. And then when I let them grow, then I'll get these here to shorten up and kick them back all the way. Remember the domino effect? I thought, well, then I'll just kick all these back to where they finally kick into the heel and kick it up. See? But but then thank goodness I found out about the heels before, because then I thought, and then I'll shorten the heels again. How stupid is that, you know? But that's what I thought. Because structurally, see, because I build things, you know, and not anything major, but I worked for a house building company for a while, and you know, I've worked on repairing barns and fences and built dog houses, and you know, had to repair stuff around the house, so I kind of understand leverage and structural building principles and stuff like that. And one thing that I have always done when it comes to these hooves is look at them like a structure, like a house, you know, with a frame, and consider the physical laws that you have to apply, and how leverages work, and structural integrity, structural failure, things like that.
One more question. So when you're,
Okay.
sorry, but when you're, and I'm new at this again, so please bear that in mind. But when you're observing, then do you look above the knee and look at the entire horse? Like, I'm getting a little bit stuck in the hoof. When do I see the whole picture?
Okay.
And then go back to the hoof.
Okay. Well, if you, all right, for me, I'm just a foot person. Okay. But this is what I believe. And I've seen it happen with people, and I've got examples of it. Okay. That when you get the feet straightened out, when the hoof capsule just simply fits the foot better, and the foot is unbound back here and being supported correctly, then when the horse himself is standing correctly in his shoes, it's going to help his knees. It's going to help his back. It's going to, I mean, I could show you a picture. You know, see, because I have concentrated so much on the feet, and I automatically think it's going to straighten everything up as it goes up, because I have bad feet and have had since I was 35. My feet started falling apart. Okay, so I have to wear orthotics, and I really understand the concept of how your feet affect the rest of your body and your attitude as well. Okay. Then I just transfer that to the horse, that it's going to be the same for the horse, that if his hoof capsule is right and his foot is balanced and comfortable, it's going to have an effect on everything else. Now I can show you a picture. I'm unfortunately no longer close to this person, but she did a great job in following directions and getting her horse straightened out. And so I can show you what she did and how that affected her horse. Okay. So just a second here. I got to remember where the picture's at. You know, I know, I think the rest of the horse counts, don't get me wrong, but I know that when you straighten the feet out, that it's going to have an effect on everything. So let me show you this picture here. Just a minute here. It'll take me a second to find it, and then I got to end this thing and go. So just a second. Where would that be? I might not be able to find it. Just a second. Pictures. But I'll show you this horse that was in really bad shape. And then she got his feet straightened up, and it straightened his whole body up. And I know that's happened to other people too. It's just that I haven't collected a lot of testimonies and pictures, and then the things that people have sent me, they're still in their messengers, you know. Just a minute, JK.
Yes, I agree with you that if you balance the hoof, that the rest of the skeleton will fall into place, God willing. I'm just wondering, how does it then affect the musculature? Because if there's a tight muscle that's pulling on a bone, I don't know, I'm just starting to think bigger. Like, okay, so I get what you're saying. And then how do I carry it forward, big picture for my horse?
I
Anyway,
don't
that's
know.
just a me thing. Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if my bones are lined up and my feet are comfortable, sooner or later my muscle's going to straighten up, right? If the foot problem and the crooked was causing the crooked leg and the crooked leg was causing the kink in the muscle or whatever, then if I straighten all this out and everything gets back into alignment, isn't the muscle going to, you know, isn't that going to help?
Not necessarily. If there's
Hmm.
muscle memory and stuff. I'm speaking as a Pilates instructor. There's stuff.
Oh, okay.
So that's in my mind is where I'm taking that.
Okay.
So like
Well,
you,
that's
you have,
interesting.
yeah.
So I guess you'd have to do some exercises and some therapy.
Yeah,
Like
I'm working on it.
Like people do. So see, there's an area that you could get expertise in.
Yeah.
You know, me
I'm working on
personally,
it.
I don't have time to think about it right now.
Right.
You know, I have just dedicated everything to what I'm telling you here.
But I don't think I can do what I need to do until I understand what you've done. Because I think
Yeah.
you're the foundation, like you said before. You're the building blocks upon which the structure is built.
Yeah, and then great, you know, then you take and you run with it and go on from there, you know, go up higher.
Okay.
You know, and advance, and then it can turn into the whole horse. You know, it's just like my arm, I got run over by a cow when I was a kid, and so it hurt my arm, and so my arm would always go out of the socket, and then it got so bad to where it just fall out, you know, finally. So I got an operation, and I had to have physical therapy after that, you know, to get everything back in working order. Now it's awesome. You know,
Good.
so same thing for the horse. You know, I do understand that this is a whole horse thing, but the feet are the foundation, because just like they always said, no foot, no horse, you know. So yeah, whatever. Anyway, I can't find that picture I wanted to show. Maybe I'll show it next week. I'll find it and show it next week. And maybe some other people can come up with some examples of how this does work, because I don't know where I put the scales pictures. Anyway,
This was awesome. Thank you so much.
hey, it was great having y'all here today, and thank you very much. Is there any questions that I can answer before we go here?
Amanda, are you going to show some pictures of Jackie Pony?
Jackie Pony, you know what? I'll take a video of her because she's doing real good right now. And she's out walking me and trotting around. So she's doing real good. We kind of had another bout of what I thought was rotation, but it wasn't. And she's doing good. I'll show her. I haven't got any recent pictures of her, but I will take a video over tonight or something and post it. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Hey, everybody have a great week. And I'm going to open a thread. And if you want to post your homework under there, just 1 foot, one thing. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. And maybe something that you realized about your horse's foot from what we discussed today about the different steps you take to evaluate once you know the proper basic form. Okay. Okay. Hey, everybody. Thanks. Riza, if you're still here, thank you very much for your participation. Everybody have a great week. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.